Hey, welcome back, folks. This is XL 10-Minute Leaders Live. Here in Singapore, it's evening, but over there, the day is just beginning in North Carolina. Welcoming to the show, Sherri and Lou. Welcome.
Hi.
How are
Thanks for
you?
joining us.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thanks for having us, Grant. Appreciate it, man.
yeah, I love it, man. Thank you so much.
Good morning to you as well. 8 o'clock in
Yes.
the morning. So we're just getting going. What a good start to the morning as well.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
So,
right.
Sherri McManus and Lou Everett, we have 10 minutes together. Are you ready?
All
Let's
right, let's
do it.
go.
Let's do it. Rock and roll. So let's start with the formalities. Business cards, folks. What does it say on yours?
It says to call us.
I like that. No messing around, Lou. That's right. Straight to the point. Like,
Hey,
that's
it
what a
says
business
call us,
card's
right?
for.
Yeah. Well, our business card has our tagline in it, which is transforming today's leaders. That's a big part of it. And of course, how to reach us on our website at www.loevergroup.com. Reach out to us so that you can find a little bit more about who we are and how we can actually help transform you or your teams.
How do you transform teams? Is it coaching? Is it consultancy? Is it products, education? What?
It is a mix of coaching and training. That is a big part of what we do, and consulting, of course, when it comes to businesses. So we work with small business owners to help, and their teams to help them understand where they currently are and why they're stuck. And where they come to us because they're stuck, and we are good at identifying what that looks like by just simply asking them the right questions, identifying where their challenges are, and them understanding and defining what that role looks like and how to navigate through it to where they intend to be.
What are the problems that people have right now? What, if you were to list out the list of problems that business leaders, business owners, managers come to you about, what's at the top of those?
Sure.
Well, boils down to productivity and communication. How come my team is not listening to me anymore? That's usually a common one. Also, attrition. People are leaving in droves. There's a rebuilding right now, thanks to COVID. How we are in a mindset pre-COVID is different that we are moving out of this COVID situation and across the world, really. So, to think that, well, this is how it's always been mentality, you're wrong. You're not going to survive. People are got stronger out of this. People have put the priorities straighter, and they're like, you know what? I don't want to do that 2-hour commute anymore. And you know what? I may start my own business. Or you know what? I didn't like that job because the way I wasn't heard, I wasn't being appreciated. I'm going to walk out. So there's a lot going on right now in the rebuilding, and we'll be happy. We're happy to help in that realm.
Yeah. It's a big
Well,
thing.
a lot of
And
these things.
getting
Sorry,
new clients is a big one, right? That's okay. No, but another topic is getting new clients. Like, how do I get? Well, I'm not getting new clients. How do I get new clients? Right? That's another big one. Where do I get new clients? And it always starts with those little simple. We call them simple phrases, but there is always a deeper result there.
Right.
But yeah, I agree with Sherri. We're in a rebuilding phase, and a lot of companies now are trying to understand and navigate through that new culture that they've had, and that seems to be a little different.
Do you find that when people come to you, they tend to come with these sort of superficial symptoms, but really fundamentally there's more of a malaise at work there, like you say, or how do we get new clients? But underneath that, that's the tip of the iceberg. So how do you read that? What are typically the real fundamental problems that you're dealing with here? It sounds like, for example, Sherri, you were saying there's a lot bubbling under that has been maybe for years.
Right.
But the pandemic has just kind of now expedited and accelerated everything, right?
Right. No, it certainly has. And well, it's like this, Graham, right? You go into a doctor with a symptom, with a cough or whatever it might be. What does the doctor begin to do? Begins to ask you questions, begins to kind of look at your history, begins to kind of dig a little deeper, what your habits are, all those types of things. And that's exactly what we do. So, okay, that's great. You're ready now to grow to the next level of your business, but you don't know how. Well, let's talk about what you've been doing so far and how that's working. What hasn't been working. So we start navigating through with those kinds of questions, just like a doctor would, to fully understand the full scope of really where it's at. It may not be that you're having an issue with getting clients. It might be that you may have an issue with how you're approaching to get clients. It might be more of an issue of, okay, well, what is the culture awareness of your business? What do people think about your business, right? These are the types of things that we got to navigate through by asking the right questions, and to allow our clients to look at it from their perspective and kind of outside their current narrow focus. We call it getting out of the sleeping bag, and there's a story behind that. If you get out of the sleeping bag, you can see a situation that you didn't see before.
What's the sleeping bag story then? Give me the abridged version, the
Yeah,
60-second version.
The abridged version.
Yeah.
I have a client of ours who never been camping before, and he had a couple of friends of his that says, "Hey, let's go camping." He said, "Well, let's try something new. Why not? I haven't done this before, but I have no gear, so I've got to go out and get gear along the way." So as he's traveling, he's driving along the way, he stops someplace to get some gear, a sleeping bag, a tent, those types of things. And the place that he arrived to didn't have but one little sleeping bag. So he called up his buddy and says, "Hey, listen, they don't really have anything here." He said, "Well, come down here. They have a store right near the campground that you can go in and get whatever you like." This is great. So he drives all the way there and realizes that there's no store there. They mistakenly. So he went back, got the one little sleeping bag for himself. And that's all he had. And overnight there in the campground, of course, at nighttime, it gets nice and cool, really cold. So he's bundled up in the sleeping bag and he finally falls asleep. But then the wind starts to pick up and it gets really chilly, and the air is starting to go right through his sleeping bag, and he's freezing. So he goes in and pulls the clothes out of his bag, throws all the clothes inside the sleeping bag, tightens it all up, and even moves the sleeping bag out of the way, and just cannot get any sleep. And finally, about 4 a.m., he gets up out of the sleeping bag, stands up, looks down at the sleeping bag, and says, "Man, if I would have just turned the sleeping bag opposite of where the wind was coming, it wouldn't have gone through my sleeping bag."
Easy to say that now.
Step out of the sleeping bag.
There you go, a bit of perspective. I love it.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
The last 18 months has been pretty crazy. I'm sure a lot of those situations have arisen, haven't they? That, a lot of people have asked questions. A lot of people have stepped out. Why are we doing things like this? That's the sort of sleeping bag scenario, isn't it? And in many ways, sometimes I feel that the things people thought that we would really struggle with, we've actually done really well with, like working from home. A lot of people say, "Oh, all the workforce is going to really struggle working from home." Sure. Not really. They've done all right, I feel. And actually, a lot of them are probably enjoying it more than going into the office and politics and, all that kind of expense with, driving, commuting and so on. Sure. So that's worked out pretty well. What have you sort of in the last 18 months, it's been a crazy time. What has surprised you about cultures, workplaces, and also maybe some of the things you didn't think would arise in the last 18 months that have really sort of think, wow, that's amazing that's going on in these businesses, right?
That's a great question. I know for me, in the beginning of the pandemic, and of course Sherri and I are very in tune. We lean into our mentors, and we have coaches as well for us. So we lean into into those leaders, and we realized that prior to things closing down here in the States and all over, we realized it was coming. We could tell it was coming. It was approaching, because as a leader, especially through crisis, we need to be proactive and be a step ahead as much as we possibly can by being forward thinkers. So we knew it was coming. And so to answer the first question, what was it that surprised us during? It was the ability for us as people to be able to flex and pivot very quickly and adjust. We have this amazing ability as people to adjust to a situation, whether we like it or not, or it's comfortable or not, we'll adjust to it. The challenge, though, that I've seen moving forward, and is twofold, is you've got now companies that prior to the pandemic were completely against working from home. No work from home policy. They had no work from home, right? That was We experience companies like this. We know of companies like this. No work from home, no matter what the circumstance might be. Now they have no choice. When you don't have a choice, then it begins to work. Now, how do you repair what you did before in order to really understand your people, and then their productivity rose? So now that's all that right there is kind of an awakening for a lot of businesses, a lot of companies. But that awakening brings about a challenge. As leaders and the top level leadership, right, the ones that make those decisions and those calls, there are some companies that said, all right, we're all coming back to the office. Okay, well, that's I understand at some level there are some companies that need to have that happen, but what about how well it worked before during this time? So what we're seeing that kind of blows my mind, it blows our mind a little bit, is that there are some that are going, as Sherri mentioned before, are wanting to go back to the way things were before. And that is a very dangerous place to be as a leader. We're always forward thinkers.
Yeah.
We can't do backwards things. We want to learn from our experiences, right? But forward thinking. So it's a very dangerous place to try to live in the past and try to regain what was there prior, because it's not going to happen. Things are never going to be the way that they were.
No. The
So those
genie's
are the
out
things
of the
that
bottle,
stood
right?
up to me. Right. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, it seems that some companies have thought of this time as a holding pattern until we return to normal, just kind of keep this thing slightly above water.
That's right.
And then we'll get back to business. But those companies that have thought, actually, we ain't ever going back, are the ones that have thrived, right? They've realized they've sort of doubled down on what all the benefits are now of these hybrid working situations, and adapted to the fact leadership isn't going to be what it once was, right? And it has to evolve across new platforms and all of that. So they need help, and they need people to steer them in the right direction. And sounds like you're the guys to help them do that. So let's put them in the right direction. Where do we find out more about you guys?
Sure. Just come to our website, www.loueverettgroup.com. Reach out to us. There's also some great things, great information, great content, and feel free to reach out. We love to have a conversation, to meet new people. And if it's not for, right for us, right fit, we have so many folks in our network that love to help, and our mission and our passion is the same. So we love to help. Yeah.
There's even some free things on there that you can subscribe to. So feel free to check it out. We'd love to have you and hear from you.
Yeah. People like free things. They like getting stuff. So go and check them out. Sherri McManus and Lou Everett, everybody. You've got the website. You can find out more with them. Reach out. Sherri and Lou, thank you for joining us this morning. It's been a lot of fun.
You bet. Thank you, Graham.
Thank you so much, Graham.